Hello, people. Welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. I'll ask it again. Do we really have to do this? Yes, we do. That is the answer. Aaron, how are you, mate? Well, that's a stupid question. We've got Aaron here.
That's good. Good evening, Joe. Yeah, I'm okay, thank you.
That's good. That's good. We are also joined again by Andrew. Good to see you back, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Good stuff. And a podcast appearance from another North Stand massive is Joe. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah. Pleasure to be losing my virginity, so to speak.
I'll be an obsessed. There you go. Yeah. I mean, let's just get straight into it, I guess. We join you obviously on the back of an extremely disappointing result against the bitter rivals. Aaron, I'll ask you a simple question. What went wrong?
It was a spineless, gutless, heartless display. Those players should be embarrassed, should be ashamed. Hertzler should be ashamed. Where to even start? I mean, the starting lineup, I don't think we could have really done much with that. I think it was probably the lineup that most people were expecting. But from minute one, they just wanted it more. They wanted it more. They had a game plan. They set up exactly how I thought they would do. And we fell into the trap. And it was pathetic from every single one of those players. There's only one who could hold themselves with any sort of credibility. And I don't like him. I think he is a sort of one-trick pony, but Enciso was the only one that actually showed a bit of heart and desire on that pitch. And they need to have a real fucking look at themselves. A real look at themselves. Because it's not good enough. Hertz needs to look at himself and think, why do we keep dropping points? Because I'm not being funny. This is Potter and De Zerbi 2.0. Again. It's beat the big teams, drop points against the lesser teams, per se, inverted commas. People are getting frustrated with Hertzler, and I think there's a damn right to feel that way. And my patience was thin after the Leicester game. My patience is gone now. Like, I am fucking fuming with that display. Yeah. My head was on absolute Mars yesterday. And I have absolutely no doubt that people will look at it and go, well, that's just a massive overreaction. I don't think it is. Mm-hmm. It was not good enough.
Yeah.
At all.
No, I fully agree. I think the misery's compounded on the back of the Leicester result, Andrew. Obviously, we lost against Fulham with a whimper. Like that was we showed no fight really. And then we go to Leicester expecting a reaction. We're 2-0 up and Wolves happens again. What needs to change?
Well, let's just put it into perspective. We play Southampton. We almost lose that game only by VAR intervention. We could have lost that quite easily. We go to Fulham and we get absolutely hammered, and it's just kind of, so you would think, okay, we're Leicester's coming up, so we all go off to Leicester, all 3,000 of us go off to Leicester. Brilliant for a good 70% of that game. You scored 2 brilliant goals, Lamptey, brilliant goal, from the little man himself. And then Minter gets that almost 1-1 goal. But then they sit back. They don't lock the defence up. They sit back. And then suddenly they allow Vardy in due to a defensive mistake, which has cost us. And Vardy's very good at, he's a good goal scorer. So, okay, so that's 2-1. but then they don't shut the door up. They leave the door wide open for them to break the defence again and for them to go and get the equaliser. I don't quite know how they want the fans to feel, because they need to look at themselves. And then we go into this game at the weekend against Palace. We never turned up. There was no lessons being learned from the last 3 games. And it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter in what the manager comes out with, because it's almost like it's a repeat. We have to do better. We have to take our chances. If you're going to do that, well, then don't put 4 over the bar then. Don't do snapshots. Test the keeper. They weren't doing that at the weekend. And there's something going wrong with the team itself. And I think the manager needs to have a look to say, we need to dig deeper to find out why this isn't working.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of shared frustration from when Hertzler comes out and says, we need to learn lessons again and again and again. Joe, it's about time that we start learning those lessons, is it not?
Yeah, if we've really figured out what they are, because otherwise they're just potentially just platitudes in interviews, aren't they? I think a lot of this is actually not about playing personnel, tactics, or formation. It's mentality. It's mentality on the pitch and potentially off it as well. I just think we're a bit soft. In the way that we approach games, in periods within games. Do you see what I mean? I think we can labour on the Palace game, but I think most of us who watched several of the previous games, as Andrew alluded to, might have seen it coming. If we we just happened to have the moment of being off it at a different stage of the game instead of the 85th minute or the 90th minute like we did in the previous games. It happened earlier on, didn't it? And then they did a bit of a job on us after that. So, for me, it's mentality and it's the makeup of the squad, if that makes sense. Not enough leaders, and the leaders that we have got are often not fit. Yeah,
I agree. Aaron, I mean, the amount of players we've got out there and the quality we've got out there is more than enough to win most Premier League games. But as Joe alluded to, the mentality of it, it's annoying when you see the mentality of us coming back against Spurs, holding out for a 1-0 win against Newcastle, holding on for a 2-1 win at Bournemouth with 10 men. What's the difference in mentality of losing a 2-goal lead against Leicester, Wolves, and then literally not even caring against your bitter rivals?
I don't really know how to answer that question, to be honest. I think, like Joe mentioned, it's a mentality thing. We haven't got any mentality monsters out there at all. We look too soft. We're too nice. I generally don't know how to answer that question. I really don't. And it's because it's the same shit every year. It's learn from our mistakes with Hertzler. It's I will blame the officials with De Zerbi, and it's the boys done well. They tried hard with Potter. It's the same shit we get in the media every single week. It's not good enough. Show some fight and show some fucking balls. That's what it needs. It needs a manager to put a rocket up their ass and actually go, do you know what? No, you have not been good enough.
Yeah.
You can be good enough all you want against Tottenham, City, United, etc., etc. It means absolutely nothing when you can't beat teams like Southampton, who have not won a game in God knows how long. Haven't really got a point in God knows how long before they played us. We're playing Brentford in a couple of weeks. They haven't won an away game all year. They'll beat us. We won't win a single game in December. Because we haven't got the bottle to win the games where they just sit back, they hold what they have. They're not stupid, teams, when they play against us. They know, put a low block in, kiss us on the counter. And that's what every team in the lower half of the table do. When we play better teams where they want to try and take advantage of their ability, like the City, where they want to try and pass the ball nice and crisp and get the ball from the back foot to Haaland or to De Bruyne, etc. We're fine with that because we can just cut that out. When teams don't have the ball, against us, they just sit in a low block. And as soon as it won 1-0 yesterday, it was done. Absolutely done. Because there's no way we're breaking down that team. Mm-hmm. The players didn't give a shit. To be honest, they didn't care. They just sort of strolled out like, oh, we'll be fine. Yeah, our players should batter Palace. We've got one of the better squads in the Premier League. We should batter teams like Palace. But when they've got a game plan and they execute it well and the players actually give a shit about what they're fighting for, massive difference. Huge difference. Mm-hmm. We turned up expecting to win that game. That is where the problem was. And you could tell from the very first minute, we were not in the game at all. Matoma was a shell of himself. He seemed to be scared to take defenders on all of a sudden. Lamptey decided to play with no legs and all of a sudden couldn't defend. Dunk decided that he was an under-sevens player who I'm pretty sure would still defend better than Dunk. I'd honestly rather have Webster at the back at the moment in time. That's saying something. It is generally that is not a single player, like I said, can go, oh, I gave it my all. Bollocks, did you? In the words of Neil Warnock, you've got to die to get 3 points. And not a single one of them probably got 10, 15% of any sort of work rate. That is not good.
Yeah. Andrew, I mean, if the players can't get themselves motivated for this one, what can they get them motivated for? That's quite worrying, isn't it?
It's a big question, isn't it? It's a big question that I would think that I would say 30,000 Brighton fans would be asking the same question. It's a bit like having 30,000 fans onto this podcast right now, all trying to get their views out there. It's if you could physically speak to the manager and say to him, what is going on? Why are the team not playing in the way they should be? What's causing that? Thing is, they've had 6 days or 5 days worth of training before the Crystal Palace game. So it's enough time to sort out any niggly bits, find out who's not happy, who is happy, find out what the fitness levels are. Now, obviously, we're missing Danny Welbeck because he's got a slight injury. Hopefully, he'll be back soon. So, we wish him well. Solly March, he's wanting to play. He's wanting to play. He's expressed that quite a lot now. And obviously, Fabian is holding back on that because he doesn't want to, last thing he wants is for him to get an injury straight away. But give the lad a chance. Put him on for 10 minutes, half an hour for a game or something. See how he plays. We don't know as supporters what goes on behind the scenes of our football club when it comes to knowing what fitness levels are like, what they're going through on a day-to-day training regime. We see the videos and stuff like that, but what are they physically saying to each other? Because it doesn't seem to be that they want to go out on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon and win that game. That just seems to be how it's coming across at the moment. We get behind them because we love this team and we do everything we can to follow this team. But when they're producing results like that and not getting the 3 points out of it, but yet we're still taking the lead we're still scoring goals, but we're not winning games, and that's the biggest problem we have right now. And we've got to try somehow and fix that. And the only way that can be done is by the players knowing what's going on, the manager putting something in place to find out why that's not happening and try and turn it around.
Yeah. Joe, after we beat Man City 3-1, 3-1, I wish, 2-1, a lot of people were looking at the fixtures that we had next and were saying, we've got a real chance to mount our serious European push. And we've gotten 1 point out of the last 3 games against Fulham, Leicester, and Palace.
Yeah, I think most of us seasoned fans knew that those next run of games after the Man City game weren't going to be the cakewalk that people might have thought because we've been around long enough, which is why I'm inclined not to. Whilst I'm not 100% sold on Hertzler and what his plan is, I'm inclined to think actually the problematic situation of not being able to beat teams who are effectively weaker than us on paper isn't a manager thing, because De Zerbi struggled with it, Potter struggled with it, Hertzler's now struggling. I think it runs a bit deeper than that, and I don't think it's necessarily about apportioning blame. I think it's about the type of playing squad that we put together, and again, that's a very we get talked about a lot, don't we? And we talk about it a lot ourselves about how brilliant we are at recruitment, how brilliant we are at putting a squad together of young and hungry players. But what those young and hungry players miss is what Aaron said, the mentality monsters, those 26, 27-year-old seasoned pros who know how to grab a game by the scruff of the neck and win it, even when it isn't going well. So I think actually part of the problem is that it's endemic to the way that we try and build a squad. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, because we wouldn't be able to have such talented players if we tried, if we had to spend our money, on those seasoned pros. It's a really difficult one, isn't it? But that's what I put it down to. I put our weakness to not being able to beat teams that we should be beating down to the fact that actually we've got players who seem to be able to raise their game against the top 6 ones. The headline games, the ones where they want to be up in stars. A few of those players seem to find another 20% against Man City, against Tottenham, don't they? They don't seem to be able to find that when the chips are down against Palace.
No, it's very true. I mean, we talk about obviously losing out on James Milner, who can come off the bench when we're winning 2-0, for example, against Leicester, and keep the professionalism, get that little bit of experience onto the pitch. No Danny Welbeck, no Joel Veltman. We lost Pascal Gross in the summer, and we lost Billy Gilmore, 2 players who I thought would always fight their hardest for the club and, were so good in midfield. Aaron, do you think that lack of experience is something that's hurting us, as Joe alluded to? Maybe it's something that runs deeper at the club. And as you said already, there's been multiple managers with experienced players that have had the same issue. So, yeah, do you think that maybe we needed like a couple of seasoned pros on the pitch to get a result against a Wolves or to get a result against Leicester?
Honestly, no, because I just feel like that was tactically wrong anyway, regardless. The reason why we struggle against teams in the lower half of the table isn't because of the players, I don't think. It's just how we set up. If it's a common problem that Potter's had, De Zerbi's had, Hertzler has, it's not the players, I don't think, to a certain degree. It's just how we set up as a club. Potter played lovely football from the back, not as attacking as we would like, but we used to be pretty solid. De Zerbi, complete opposite. We'll go gun-ho, attack. We'll outscore the opposition. But we can't outscore the opposition if teams are just sitting in a low block. Again, it's all tactical with the teams on the lower half of the table. Look at Everton at the Emirates on Saturday. They just sat in for 90 minutes. They couldn't break them down. And then we just cannot mentally beat teams when they just sit in a low block. It's just not possible. We haven't got the quality. And it's you have to then think, why are we having the same issues under 3 different managers? And it's not, I don't think it's the players. I really don't. It's a common thing in the Premier League, how we set up, we just can't beat the smaller teams. Not smaller teams. That's very detrimental. Teams in the lower half of the table, like your Southamptons, like Wolves. I mean, Wolves lost to Ipswich. Even Ipswich, we probably should have lost. You know, we got a 0-0 draw against Ipswich. They should have scored in the last couple of minutes of that. Southampton should have lost that game. Wolves should have won that game, but we bottled it. Leicester, we should have won that game, but we bottled it. And then Palace, we didn't turn up. It's just, you have to really question, is Hertz the right man for the job? And at this minute, I don't think he is. Because I don't think he really understands and really knows what it's like to play in the Premier League and manage a club in the Premier League who are trying to progress. Because if anything, yes, we've beaten Man City, yes, we've beaten Tottenham, etc., etc. But realistically, what else? If he was the successor to De Zerbi, these are the type of games we should be winning. These are the type of games we should be progressing as a squad, as a club, to push constantly for Europe, which realistically was our aim at this year.
Mm-hmm.
We won't get Europe this year because of these results we've dropped. Well, the games we've dropped points in.
What personality is the sort of personality you want then? I like, it's something that I've been battling with, because obviously everyone knows what I tweeted on Twitter. I said that Fabian had lost me. I tweeted that as the third Palace goal went in. I tweeted that through pure frustration. I'm still pissed off about it now. I think I'm calm enough to think about the bigger picture now. But that's something that made me sort of think twice, is if not Hertzler, who?
And that's the $1 million question, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I don't really see a style of play that Hertz is trying to adapt. It literally doesn't feel any different from Potter at all, to be honest. Like yesterday we were 2-0 down and we're just fucking passing side to side. Like, just be a bit ballsy. Just play a ball into the midfield. You know, just stop passing. Duncan Van Heck was passing side to side. I will go out to Purvis. I will go back out to Van Hecker, and then we go back to Lamptey, and we work our way back out. Like, it's at the end of the day, I get it. Premier League football in general, is evolving, and that's how teams want to play. You know, nice pass possession based football. Sometimes when you're coming up against your arch rivals, you don't want to do that. You want to clatter them. You want to play terrorist football. That's what you want to play. And it's horrible, gritty. It's probably not great to watch. Who cares if you're going to get 3 points at the end of it?
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than whatever the fuck that was yesterday. Because that display left me probably the most angriest I've ever been coming out of the Amex. By far. And I don't care about losing. Losing is not a problem for me. It's the way to lose. That's the thing. It's the way you can lose a game. You can work your ass off and still lose. That's fine. But to go out there and just jog around for 90 minutes against the scum and no one really cares baffled me. You know, I left, but as soon as Saar went through, I was on crutches. So I picked up my crutches and I was gone. I was done at that point. Because I'm not putting myself through fucking agony to watch that shit. No fucking way. I wouldn't have put my worst enemy through that.
Yeah.
At all.
As you say, it's just a lot easier to watch a team that are fighting tooth and nail for the name on the front of their shirt rather than the back.
Absolutely no fight. I sound like the guy from Twitter. No fight, no passion, no nothing. There was nothing in that game. And I get so pissed off when people try and take positives out of games. There was absolutely zero positives from yesterday. At all.
Yeah.
Probably the only bonus thing that I could go out the whole day is I was able to park in the disabled bit at Park and Ride. That is it. Generally, was the best part of the day.
Wins a win. Joe, you got.
I was going to say we parked next to James Milner. Did you see him? Does he exist still? Was there proof of life somewhere? I was just going to say I don't disagree with Aaron. I think having a plan B or being able to play terrace football, as we'd call it sometimes is needed. I think who can do it? What player or players in that squad has got that ability?
I mean, don't
back to the squad. There's not enough of them to suddenly say let's throw kitchen sinks and stuff about. I mean, there isn't, is there?
But then you play Welbeck. These obviously if he was fit, you play Welbeck and Ferguson. You would play Dunk. You start Dunk at centre half, and then just play sensible fucking football. Like if we're going to play terrace ball, you play the hard man of the team per se. So I probably wouldn't have started Pedro. I would have probably had Ruta somewhere in the midfield, probably playing as a 10 if anything, because he's quite a big lad and is a bit of a shithouse, and I kind of like that. I would have started again. Would have kept Believer on. I would have probably started Weaver, to be honest, because I think Ayari is absolute pony. There's a way around it. There's ways around it for sure. And yeah, it's not going to be pretty to watch, but Jesus Christ, just if you have to do it, do it. I don't mind. I mean, this is what I tell the manager at the women's team I coach, Tom, who annoyingly is a Palace fan. Just play 4-4-2 terrorist ball. Just fucking do it. Like if that's how to pick up results, and do it. I don't mind, because at the end of the day, it's a result business. You know, look at Russell Martin. He tried to play fancy football, gets battered every week, apart from when he plays us. Look at Vincent Kompany, same again until he plays us. When he was at Burnley, it's all well and good playing fancy football, but if you get caught out and you can't have anything to back it up with, what's the point? And that's exactly what happened yesterday. And I turned up to that game, and I was chatting to a couple of Palace mates beforehand. I was like, this will be 2-0. We'll lose this 2-0. Like, without a shadow of a doubt. I just had a feeling we weren't going to get anything from it. And as soon as he went 2-0 up from two very, very poor defensive mistakes, may I add. Here we are. And the thing that also pissed me off, right, is Verbruggen trying to get the fans up. I'm not being funny, mate. Sort your shit out, because there's nothing to get behind. Absolutely nada to get behind.
Another point that I found quite disturbing was the fact that at full time, I've seen reports. I wasn't there. I had to be at home for parenting reasons. I've seen reports that João Pedro found himself down the tunnel without even clapping the fans. Andrew, as someone that's at the front of the North Stand and claps the players no matter what, what do you make of that reaction from João Pedro?
I think to be honest, I think you could see now. You could see the total and utter disappointment in the players. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you put a performance like that on, you should be disappointed in yourself, because you've just allowed a side that are, our rivals to win that game quite comfortably. Now, when normally you'll get the players come round, we'll all clap them and everything else, and we were, everybody was, all the ones that had stayed behind were clapping anyway. But there were players that literally just went down the tunnel. And it's kind of, you got Van Heck coming up with one of the others, can't remember who it was, but you've got a fan in the North Stand that's come from like 5 rows back to come down and start giving it all the mouth to them. And it's like, what are you doing? They're not going to come over to you and apologise. So just stop doing it. And the stewards, bless them, they're trying to basically prevent him from doing that. And it's completely wrong. And he, as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't even be in the ground, as far as I'm concerned, because that is unnecessary to give that amount of abuse to players that have just finished a game. They're down. We're all down. And let's just walk out the stadium peacefully and just let them reflect on what's just happened. I just feel that the players didn't do enough. The game was a complete disaster. And there wasn't an awful lot of goal mouth action. And what there was from us, was down the other end. And we blazed it over 3 times when it was quite, they were quite easy to, they looked fairly simple chances to take. Obviously, being up in the north, it's very difficult sometimes to see how close they really are until you see it, because they don't show the replays unless the ball goes in the back of the net. But I just feel that all the players should be doing exactly what they usually do: come around, say thank you to all the fans, and then go off and reflect on it. But there was only a few of them. There was only a couple of them that did that yesterday, and that was quite disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the players are never going to come over and apologise. Some fans might want that. Some fans want to see the apology on the pitch. That's what I want. I want an apology next week against West Ham.
Absolutely.
A perfect game, fighting for the badge, and just get a result somehow, as Aaron says, somehow, because that's what we care about. And that's why we're getting so frustrated, because I made this point again. The results against City, United, Spurs, Newcastle, for me, mean nothing. If you go out and you perform like that against Southampton, Leicester, Wolves, and it's no disrespect to those teams that are fighting down the bottom. We've been there. We know what they're in. We know their situation. But it's what we've come to expect from this football club. The way we've spent money, the way we've recruited. We got into Europe last season. Fantastic. Obviously, Europe's the aim again. That's been quoted from Tony Bloom. That's been quoted from Paul Barber. Of course, we want to be there again. If we don't get it this season and we finish in the top half, for me, that's acceptable. And then we go again next season. But we run a massive, massive risk of falling down the table very quickly, because the points difference in that table between 14th and 4th is the tightest I've ever seen it. And we carry on this way against, I hate saying this, but teams that we want to be getting points from, then a bad run against the teams that we shouldn't be, the top 6, the upsetting establishment teams, we're going to find ourselves with a very, very, very disappointing season. So it's those fine margins. We are so close. We're a couple of results away from being in the Champions League spots, and we're a couple of results away from being 15th.
Yeah. I think. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
No, you carry on.
I think the way to look at it is we are going through a bad spell, and that is the way to look at it. At some point, we will turn it. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We are that close. We're 9th at the moment. If I correct me on that, I think we're 9th at the moment, aren't we? We are that close from being with only probably 5 or 6 points between us and the top. So we're not that far away. I think we've got to get something out of West Ham at the weekend, and we need to make sure that we win that game. Some people say we're at a crisis point. Well, we're not, but we have to start winning to get this, whatever we're going through, this unstableness, as I will call it, and stop it. They need to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, hold a lead, Not just hold it for 80 minutes, but hold it for a full 90 plus minutes, and to be able to walk away and celebrate with the fans that we've won the game, and we've gone, we've got a couple of places up the table to where we should be. Can we get We won't get Champions League. That's a definite, because we're too far away from that now. Can we get Europa League Conference? Can we get Europa League? That's what we've got to focus on. Can the team do that? Are they going to be able to do that before the end of the season, to be able to kind of say, right, I know we've mucked up in the middle of the season, but this is what we've given you. And we've got to kind of, get behind them like we always do. There'll be 3,000 up there on Saturday, because it's what we do.
Why do we do it? That's the question. I'll have a quick look at the chat. I've neglected the chat today, and I'm very sorry about that, people. We've got Michael watching us evening, missing Joel Veltman. Haven't won without him. Yeah, another player that we're missing big time. Shan says, unlike the drop last season, the recent drop is just weird. Hard to say where it exactly went wrong. Michael also says Palace turned up wanting to win the game. And that's fair enough, yeah. Says, do we know what it's like to be a City fan nowadays? I mean, that is a crisis, isn't it? Jeez. Goodness gracious me. Rodders says, first half was the worst performance this season. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Adrian says, trying to get the energy up enough to watch the replay. Don't watch the replay. Don't be silly. Curtis says, howdy chaps, hello to you. We've got Luke Links in the chat. Hello Luke, how are you doing, my friend? And yeah, it says Joe is speaking facts like always. Which Joe? Me or the other Joe?
Must be me.
Absolutely. Chat on my arse, mate. You follow me on Twitter, Yeah, so that's the chat. Thank you very much for watching us, everybody. Thanks for chatting along. We always do appreciate it. And we appreciate you being here listening to us moan and moan and moan. But that's what we're going to do after a terrible result against Palace.
Let's try and get behind them, Joe. We'll all be up there on Saturday, and let's just scream our lungs out and make sure they realise that we're there, and let's get 3 points and do what we can to help them.
Let's hope so. Aaron, anything more to say on the game?
Was there booze at full time? Out of interest.
I
think there was. Yeah, I think there was.
Good. I hope they were loud. I mean, I booed at half time. They deserved every bit of it they got, in my opinion. Fans deserve some sort of performance, which they did not get. So, unfortunately, being part and parcel of a footballer, they have to firm it when they play well, and also firm it when they get abused. Because, honestly, I would have screamed as well as a guy behind you, Andrew. It's pathetic.
You can understand the frustration, but it's kind of, there's a limit to it, and if you can voice how you feel, but don't throw the abuse into it, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And I think it's just got to kind of, we're all angry, we're all upset about it, but let's just get behind this team and just keep them going, because it's what they need.
But the problem is at the minute, Andrew, this is what I said when Verbruggen was trying to get the fans up for it.
Yeah.
Why? You have literally given us nothing to get behind. Like this is the problem. We've had this issue for years where fans will say, "Oh, our Potter was a promise. Oh, we need the fans to get behind us." Well, give us something to get behind then. We've just thrown away a 2-goal lead away at Leicester. We've just drew against Southampton. Yes, we've just beaten City. We got battered by Fulham. We can then drop a 2-goal lead yet again against Wolves. Like at the minute, you're not really giving us anything to get behind. And generally, I'm not going to the Brentford game because of my knee, and it completely wiped me out yesterday. I should have gone anyway. But it's just fucking stupid. It just feels like they've already on the fucking beach. It's only bloody December. Get your head out your arse and actually turn up and win games. It's not a God-given right to win games in the Premier League, but you got to at least fucking work for it. If you don't work for it, what's the point? You may as well be playing League One, League Two football. You may as well just play Sunday League if you're just not going to turn up and actually work your ass off. Like there's not, like I said, there's not a single player who say they ran their absolute legs off on Sunday. Sorry, not a single person. And this is always one thing I've said to the girls is, if I don't care what the result is, if you've worked 110%, that's all I ask for. No matter what the score, just work your arse off.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, not a single one of those players were working 20, 30%. We're probably max, if I'm honest. Where the likes of Will Hughes turned into prime freaking Busquets yesterday and was winning everything and dictated play because he wanted it. He was playing 110%, had the desire, had the passion to actually, make a difference. Nobody did that. Nobody did that. I honestly think you look at it and go, why? It's gone under a radar a little bit, I think, on the podcast. Now, I said this in the group chat the other day. The downfall of Lewis Dunk is concerning, man. It is concerning. Because he's not been nowhere near it for the last 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah. I think
doesn't get
a lot of
enough, in my opinion.
No. And a lot of it obviously comes down to that he's our captain and people don't want to admit it. I think a lot of it comes down to complacency. We've got Europe. We're fighting at the top of the Premier League. That's and the effort isn't there.
We got Europe once, Joe. Right?
Yeah, I know. I know. But that's what I'm saying. It's complacency. It's stupid early set complacency. That's what it is.
Try not to lose my head here. There is not you, Joe, by the way.
Yeah, no, obviously.
But there is so much wrong with that performance on Sunday. But then we look at the whole entire picture. There hasn't really been a game where we've gone, actually, do you know what? We battered this team. Not that I can think of, anyway. Like, we've absolutely battered them. But if we were battering teams every other week and then not picking up results like we were under Potter to a certain degree, but at least we can say, well, the performances are there. The performances were there, but the results weren't. And now it's now the performances aren't there, and neither is the results. And
its performances are there for 45 minutes, and then it trails off.
Even the second half show, I generally do not. I think there was only one point I generally thought we were going to score, and that was in Cisso's shot. And I generally thought it was in because I got caught on camera celebrating before he even hit the net, so that's always fun. And other than that, there was no we weren't going to beat Henderson. We weren't, because we never looked like a goal threat. We didn't have a goal.
That's
he made some tremendous saves, I must admit, but we weren't. We were far from. It looked, every shot we were putting in, you could see he was comfortable. And
I've said it for ages. Our forwards often make average goalkeepers look brilliant. We do it a lot. How many times have we said, "Oh, bloody hell, what a game for their keeper to pick to have man of the match"? You probably have to look a bit closer to home when that keeps happening.
Yeah. And this is the concerning thing: is we go through stages of being really clinical for 2 games, 3 games, and then we just stop. And if I'm honest, we rely on Pedro too much. We rely on Matoma too much. And when those two don't play well, then we don't. We seem a little bit lost. Like, we just feel like we have no way of breaking teams down.
Yeah.
And it's just the same. It's the same story, different manager, and it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because
No, your frustrations are probably mirrored by a lot of other Brighton fans. And you know, your rant was on the back of Andrew talking about abuse, and I think the term meaning is lost a little bit. What you've said there, Aaron, is spot on. 100%, I agree with you. But in terms of getting that across to the players, that's what you got to do. You've got to come on the podcast like you do and talk about it and fume about it, because that's what we do. We're fans. We're entitled to that opinion. Absolutely. You pay your money. You can do what you like. But I think it's the effing and blinding, and you know, from on a stand perspective, saying you're fucking that.
Yeah, and I don't. I honestly think that, you know, if that gets reported back to the club, then obviously the club will do something about it. But it's kind of, we are fans. We go to watch these games and we go to cheer them on and stuff like that. You know, it's like Alan said, the performance was far from even being anywhere near to what we've seen.
Yeah.
You know, we're playing for, like, you know, Leicester, we played for 80 minutes. We're 2-0 up. And they allow Leicester to come back. It's like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you know. But then they come over to the fans and they you know, they could see that we're all hurting because of it. And it's kind of, you know, you can see that they appreciated everybody turning up, but to only hold it for 80 minutes and then concede, that's just, you know, a lack of detail.
For me,
at the end of the day, yeah, they appreciate us turning up, but at the same time, I'm not being funny. I sound like Roy Keane. It's their job. Their job is to win football games. Like, their job is to put on a performance for us fans. We've had a really long week at work. You know, we've put 110% into the week to get through to game day, and they don't even bother to turn up. Like, if I'm honest, if someone got reported for effing and blinding, I reckon a good 80% of the North Stand would be gone. Because
yeah,
I mean, I'm the same. I'm the same, and I will not even hide that fact, because I'm passionate about it. And if the players aren't, you know, they're kind of to the fans, they need to expect an earful. And if people are just applauding them, they think, oh, that performance is acceptable.
True.
Oh, look, you know, we can play that shit and people will still love it.
I think there's just always a way to hold yourself. If you're passionate and getting angry at them, then fine. But
my head was on fucking Mars yesterday. My head was gone, and I think people who know me know my head was gone. Like, I was in freaking Jupiter, because, and if, like, I just had I just rage all night. I came home, sat in a dark room, try and calm myself down. Didn't happen, because all I think about is, yeah, the players don't give a shit. Players don't care. You know, everybody's worked their arse off to get down there. You know, long week, blah, 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 blah. They rock up like nothing even happening. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah. And
I mean,
I would love, and funny enough, one of my goalkeeper with the women, they've got a private event on tomorrow for the Brighton families, like kids and stuff, at the place where she works. And she was like, do you want me to get anything signed or anything? I was like, no. If anything, tell them to sort their fucking ideas up and turn up on Saturday, please. That's all I care about. Then that's what they should. They should. This can sound brutal. They should really be fucking training every day this week. They should have gone in today and trained, And mate, I know there's some managers who would have got them in training Sunday night. And I mean, we did this at pre-season. We played Worthing Development Squad away in a pre-season friendly. We kept the girls in the change room for 90 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
They haven't run for 90 minutes.
Cancel Christmas. Do you think?
What's that?
Should we cancel Christmas?
I'll make Christmas cancel for me anyway. I'm the Grinch as it is. It's just, you know, you've wasted 90 minutes of our time. We'll waste 90 minutes of yours. Like, what's the point? It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. They need to look at themselves and think, was Sunday the best version of myself? Did I give everything on that pitch? The honest answer is no.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And
That's fair enough.
if anyone thinks they work their arse off, then they are in a whole world of delusion. A whole world of delusion.
Fair enough.
Also, can we talk how bad?
Do any players think like that though anymore? Does the modern footballer think?
No, I think the money.
I think that's where, unfortunately, managers have to do their job nowadays. I think players will. It's a different world, isn't it? Rather than than it would have been in the dark old days of making people come in on Sunday nights and stuff. I think this is where the managers actually earn their money, isn't it? Is finding a way to motivate these guys because there's 10% difference in Premier League football between being brilliant and beating Man City and being crap and losing a 2-goal league to Leicester. It's fractions, isn't it? And that's where they need to find that, whether it's effort, whether it's brains, whether it's heart, desire, intensity, whatever it is. And that's where the manager needs to earn their beans, isn't it? Because it's so fast and so, like I say, it's just ranting at them in the old days gone by and scaring them and stuff like that. Just ain't going to work anymore, is it? With a modern player,
I think that's fair.
And I think, can Hurtsler do that? I guess is the question. That's the question mark of Mumby. Can he find that 10% out of these every week? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say much more because I'm pretty sure I've taken up like half this podcast by just ranting. So
I mean, as we always say, a podcast after a defeat is rather cathartic to get it all off the chest. You can look ahead this week.
The difference is it's all therapeutic and stuff when it's a defeat, but it's defeat against that lot. That's where the issue is. That's where my issue.
Yeah, obviously, those emotions and those feelings are much more deep rooted than just losing to just anyone. And I think you're joined by a lot of Brighton fans that get pissed off about losing to Palace. I mean, let's have a little think ahead to West Ham. Andrew, as you say, you'll be there. What are your feelings?
It's going to be a hard place to go to, isn't it? Because West Ham they're a good team. They're a good team, and I just think that they're going to be tough to beat. But we've really got to be. We've got every single player every single member of that team that he puts out has got to know what their job role is. Has got to know what to do in a situation where they're attacking us, and it's kind of close the defense down, stop them from scoring, do whatever you have to do to prevent that ball going in the back of the net from West Ham, and then go up the other end and score. Yeah. And don't just hold it at 1-0. Increase that scoreline, whether it's half an hour, 45 minutes into the game, an hour into the game. At some point, we are going to get back to winning ways, and let's just hope that West Ham game is the game that we do it at.
Yeah, I mean, one of their fans was famously quoted a couple of seasons ago when we beat them. We've just been beaten by a seaside. They're a beach, they're nothing. So I think that should be the motivation going into this one. They think we're nothing, and so let's show them what we've got. Joe, what are you feeling ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday. No, despite everything. I'd play the same team again. I generally don't think this is a personnel problem. I'd make the same. If Welbeck or Veltman are fit, obviously you find a space within the gap in the team, but I don't think they will be. So I'd make the same bunch of players go out there, and I think you guys mentioned it earlier. That's where you go and make your apology, isn't it? The same bunch go out there in the same shape, because I generally don't think there's too much problem with the way that they're trying to play. They've just got to find the intensity that they can for 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there during games for 90 minutes. It's as simple as that. I think we've looked a good side at moments of this season. We've just got to find a way that they can raise their game to play that way for the whole game. It's as simple as that. Can he motivate them to do that? We'll see. Saturday's a big game, isn't it? It's a big test. Come away with nothing on Saturday, and people's questions get louder, don't they?
Yeah, very true. Aaron, what does this team have to do to win you back?
I would say win me back is a bit dramatic, but I mean, I would make at least 5 changes to Saturday if I would pick, to be honest. I would drop Dunk to start with. I'd play Igor. If Veltman was fit, I'll drop Lamptey and play Veltman. If Riley's fit, I'll play Riley instead of Ayari. I would probably drop Matoma and play Adingra. Or Enciso, one of the two. That's 4, isn't it? That's it, actually, to be fair. I don't think we'll win Saturday. I think Kudus and Bowen would be too much for us at the minute. To be honest, I just can't. Like I said, I don't think we'll win until next year now. I generally don't think that.
Fair enough.
Yes, I'm Mr. Negative, blah, blah, blah. More just a realist. We're in a really bad run of form. West Ham look like they're just about to come out of some sort of slump that they've been in. But they're playing Bournemouth in a minute. They actually look pretty decent. I just can't see it. I generally can't see it. And like I said, Igor for Dunk, without a shadow of doubt. I'd have Webster in for Dunk. I'd have Freddie Simmons in instead of Dunk. Ed Turns. Like, he needs to get back fit before even remotely getting back into the team. He's not fit. Simple as he's not. We've rushed him back. It's the only logical explanation why his downfall is drastic.
True.
Like, I've not seen... That reminded me of Webster against Everton. Was it Burnley or Everton?
Oh, God.
One of the
I don't
two.
want to think about those games now.
An absolute shitter.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, Van Heck was poor for his standards as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah. Like I said, I can't see us winning until next year. Yeah, there's a lot needs to change, in my opinion, right now, because the performances are concerning when we can't hold leads and we don't turn up.
Yeah,
it's all well and good. It's all well and good having leads and throwing them away. Sorry, it's all well and good having leads, but if you're going to throw them away, what's the point? If West Ham are going to sit in a low block and defend and just counter-attack us with pace, we can't break it down. We're not smart enough to break it down.
Yeah.
It's simple as.
I think you're pretty spot on there, Mr. Stevens. Aaron, that is you. Andrew, can I get a very quick score prediction from you before we sign off?
I think for the way we're playing at the moment, I think I'm going to go for a draw. I think I will go for I'm just going to go for a draw. I'm not going to say how many goals are going to be in it because I just want to wait and see what I see in front of me before anything. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a draw. If a miracle happens and we walk away with it with all 3, then there'll be a party.
Christmas miracle. Finally. Joe, what are you thinking, mate?
I think Would I take a 0-0 thriller now after Sunday? Probably not. No, I'm going to keep the faith. I think we'll nick it just in a pretty damp squib of a game, and I think we're going to nick it one. I think we'll nick it 1-0. The players will find it from somewhere. I'm going to have faith. We'll nick it.
Fair enough. Michael says, does anyone know how Antonio is after his accident? I believe he is in a stable condition. Broke his leg, I believe. So obviously we're very thankful that he's okay. And obviously we all wish him the very, very best going forwards. And we hope that he can get back onto a football pitch because that's what he loves to do. So hopefully. Aaron, do I ask you for a score prediction?
2-0 West Ham. It'd be Bowen and Kudus with the goals.
Fair enough.
Generally thought Aaron might predict an Antonio winner there, the way he's.
No.
Okay. For me, I think the best I can hope for is a draw at this current moment in my current mindset. Obviously, I've said this season I'm only going to go with my heart with predictions. Mm-hmm. So, Joe, I'm going to back you as well. I'm going to go 1-0 somehow to the Albion. And let's hope we can fight our way out of this extremely tough moment. Luke says 1-0 as well in the chat. Obviously, he'll be there vlogging his way to victory, fingers crossed. But I think that just about rounds off today for the Albion Obsessed podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook. Just search Albion Obsessed and you will see us there. Andrew, where can people find you? Are you on social media at all?
No, I'm not on social media, but
they can just find you on the Albion Obsessed podcast.
Yeah, they can just find me on here and then just kind of see me at the ground. There you go.
Fair enough. Joe, where can people find you?
Yeah, I talk nonsense on Twitter quite a lot and can be found at Joe Benno.
Lovely. And Mr. Stevens, Instagram as always.
Yeah, Instagram for me. I don't really use Twitter for obvious reasons. I'm still wanted by numerous people. Yeah. Anyway.
As I say, screw the haters. We love you. As I said, that just about rounds off this week's episode of the Albion Obsessed podcast. Please do like, share, and subscribe for more Albion-related content coming your way very, very soon. And we will see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.